play The Flood. Now, this was one that I ended up kickstarting because I was super excited about, I don't know, what I thought was going to happen with this game. I was super hopeful, and I'm very excited to share it with you guys. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now,
what we do?
We do board games.
Okay.
Hey, Robert,
Robert,
can you tell us more about The Flood?
The Flood came out in 2023. Rating is 6.7, rank is 17,900. Plays 1 to 4 people in 60 to 120 minutes, but it's way longer than 120 minutes.
I'm going to go with this as 2024. They probably added it to Board Game Geek in 2023.
Yeah, because we just got it, right before Gen Con.
Ages 14 and up. Now, it's designed by Elijah and Natalie Moore. I apologize if I mispronounced that.
We have them on the channel as guests.
Art is Ben Meyer, Miko Paganisi, and this one I have to, I'm sorry, it's Elif Sibben-Pfeiffer, I think. I apologize. So published by, is it Bedouin? Is that how they pronounce it?
Bedouin.
Bedouin Games. Now, I got a couple different price points. So this is the all-in Kickstarter. Now, on Kickstarter, it was $149. Now, on Board Game Geek, there was one copy being sold like this for $135. Now, the deluxe version is available for pre-order on the Bedouin website for $89. And I saw on Board Game Geek, if you wanted it today, you can buy the deluxe version for $110.
But we can't be sure because it says it's the all-in version.
Yeah, the link on Bedouin site says all-in, but when you click on it, it goes to the page. It says deluxe. So I'm assuming it's the deluxe.
I would think so.
Because I didn't see a picture of the mat.
The price for the Kickstarter for the deluxe was $85, so it would make more sense.
Right.
But,
yeah.
But we're not 100%.
Okay. All right. So let's get started on the quality of components. You got to build your own Noah's Ark.
Yeah,
that was
the Ark actually works really well.
They did a great job with it. So you have your base, and then you slowly, the bottom of the boat, then the middle of the boat, and then
it kind of locks it in.
Yeah, it all locks in, and I think that was very ingenuitive. Like, it works out great.
Yeah, the only thing that didn't work great was the very last part, the end of the game, when you put the animals in it. The animals don't fit on the boat.
Yeah,
right.
It's a giant goat.
Yeah, it's a giant goat, and so thematically that one, because you're supposed to put the animals on the boat.
Well, you just have to have balancing. You have to have 2 giant goats, one on each side, so it's balanced. But
but that's the only thing. But other than that, the Ark and some of the other pieces are just awesome.
Yeah, they have little inlaid boards that are customized. There's a standard board, but even that's got some customization as far as costs of the Ark components. The packaging for this is ridiculously
really cool.
over the top. It's got a magnetic seal for the top, and this is where you put your little trays, which are basically game trays style. And then inside, there's a drawer that slides out where everything else goes, and it's got basically a distribution for the cards and everything that comes out you can play with, which is, it took me a minute to figure out how to get all the stuff out, because I was like, okay, the lid, there's got to be more to it. I can feel there's more weight, and then it's like, there's a drawer on the side.
I'm really impressed with the packaging.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
The only thing I was disappointed in was the cardboard. The cards actually have a linen finish. They're good stock.
The dice are nice.
The cardboard has no linen finish. It's very thin. It's like a substandard, but it's not horrible. It's not super like paper.
But just compared to everything.
To everything else.
And then you have the screen printed wooden tokens that are over there for your player markers.
You have metal coins.
Literally,
metal coins.
It's everything but you got these little tokens are not very good quality.
Yeah.
These weren't bad, but it's still
the same thickness.
Still the same thickness. So it's like those two things,
when I got the punchboard sheets out, I was like, "This is just really chintzy compared to everything else."
It's just odd, because everything looks so beautiful, but those few things.
Yeah. So overall, giving it a score, Robert, what you gonna give it?
It would, if the component cardboard stuff was better, it would be a 10 because it's just fantastic. But I have to give it an 8.5.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was going to give it. It was 8
I mean,
and a half.
because it's so blaringly obvious.
Yeah, because
that-
there's so much of the cardboard that is
Yeah.
actually used. You know, it's one thing if you replace it. These should have been wooden, in my opinion. These little tokens,
or
all
even
of it.
or acrylic or something.
Yeah, I mean,
So
just,
I just think that it's just
or
so,
at least a better cardboard.
it's just unfortunately so blaringly obvious compared to everything else. I have to go to 8.5.
I'm giving it 9 because there's purple and there's legit both.
Well,
that you
the
put
purple
together.
is part of the expansion. If you got the base game,
Yeah,
you would
it's
not
called
get
Rising
purple or
Waters.
Yeah.
Rising Waters is the expansion.
But you got to build your own boat.
You do get to
Yes.
build your own boat.
I'm sorry.
Which is why I did 8.5.
black. Yeah.
I'm going to give 9 though. I'm going to
Okay,
give it a 9.
okay.
I understand for your cardboard fanatics. I thought it was
Yeah,
fine.
it's still beautiful though.
It's still
very
absolutely
is, very much
gorgeous.
so.
All right, now moving on to theme. This is about the flood. So obviously you're going out. You're going to try to collect resources to build your boat and eventually get the animals on the ark. I'm a little confused as to why we have dinosaurs.
Yeah, I don't want to go too much into it because everybody has their own religious takes and beliefs. But my belief and take in the Bible was not that there were dinosaurs on Noah's Ark, and you know that's I know up for debate.
Even if whether that's true, to me that's kind of thematically it ruins it. But it's not just dinosaurs; it's domesticated
Domesticated
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs.
They have like saddles and people riding on them. That just blew it out of the water thematically. There's like, that didn't happen.
Yeah. So but like your buildings were fantastic.
Again, it's one of those
beautiful.
things that's
Yeah.
drastically kind of it's just so weird.
Right, 'cause your art's
but
beautiful.
Part of the theme is fantastic, and part of it's like, whoa, that like they were on LSD tripping or something. It's just weird.
Yeah, no, I felt because the art's absolutely beautiful. You have these beautiful thematic. I'm not really sure why we had elephants either, but we're gonna go with it.
Well,
There were elephants.
they're-
I'm okay with
No,
elephants.
they were.
And they can
I'm
haul
okay with elephants.
the things they need, like bring the wood to the boat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're talking like Jerusalem. I don't know.
There's
No,
Indian
this is
elephants.
Middle East.
and-
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sure, we'll go with it. We'll say that there were no, but that's fine. And I think that was really cool. The different camps and things like that. Visually, it is very stimulating. But again, a little confused about the dinosaurs. But other than that, I actually really
And the artwork is beautiful.
Yeah, the artwork is beautiful.
Yeah.
Theme wise, I liked it. I liked you were gathering resources. You're trying to build your ark. I'm really sad that you only got to collect 8 animals. Like in my head,
Yeah.
I thought it was you're gonna search the map for different animals and bring them back. Right, so you had to. In my head,
Right.
I was expecting, we're going to do managing resources to build the ark, but then we also have to collect all these animals for like victory points or something. And so in that aspect, I didn't get to go collect my animals.
Right.
I'm really disappointed.
I agree. I think thematically, I think the game would have done much better if A, you either collected a bunch of animals, or B, you did the aspect of the people where, they were very much against Noah, making fun of Noah during this whole process of him building the ark, and they didn't touch either one of those things.
Yeah.
So I think it doesn't meet it. The art's beautiful, pieces are beautiful, but thematically, it completely
I think they
missed it for
focused
me.
on some things that didn't really, like they need, I don't know. I agree. Other focuses could have
Yeah.
been a lot more, I think would have made the game a lot more vibrant.
I think so.
So for me, theme-wise, I'll give this an 8 because it's beautiful to look at.
I'm probably I was really taken aback by the dinosaurs when I was reading the rules, and the fact that you can't eliminate them from the game.
Yeah.
The parts of it you could. There was like an expansion you add on. You could take it out because there's one of the rulebooks we get. The rulebooks was for scenarios, and that's one of the scenarios. But certain player characters have dinosaurs as their beast that they're using. So you can't take it out completely unless and blue is one of them, which is my color. So I can't discount it that much. I'm going to go ahead and I'll give it an 8 because it is pretty, but yeah,
They could have focused on
struggled.
other things.
Yeah, I struggled with that.
When looking at theme, and it's supposed to be about the flood, and again, personal belief wise, I am taking that into account for me. I'm a 7 because it doesn't meet the theme.
Yeah.
It's a 7 because it's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. So moving on to the actual rule books. Now, listen.
Yeah, this.
So I told it's my birthday today, by the way, guys,
Yeah.
and I told Randy and Robert.
I
and
even
Andrew,
came early.
I texted all of them and said, "Listen, I want to play this game. Show up at 10 o'clock." Like we had plans so we could actually play this game. So Randy actually, because he's the
Spent
love of
all
my
day
life,
yesterday
he spent all day reading
trying
the
to
rules.
figure out how to play
And
this
he
game.
came to me so many times, being like, "You know I love you because I'm trying to figure this out." So
To be fair, the rule book is not as it's 15 pages. It should have been longer. We'll get into that. It has a cover that is not really the match of the cover of the box.
But it's so pretty.
But it's a very pretty art. And then it goes into the component list, a nice picture of the component list. It kind of has the background from the Bible of the story.
And
of
it's got the
Noah.
big print for Randy being blind.
Yeah, definitely. It's got a lot of empty space. Then you got the setup. This is where things start falling apart right here. Because one of the things is, this is a very simple, basically a variant of Catan.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
But on
A
top
lot of
of that,
similarities.
they took elements of, I would say, Scythe
A
with
little
the
bit.
beast, and basically what you had kind of a boss beast that went around and did triggering of your resources too, and that element is not even touched in the setup. So where you're supposed to put your beast on the board, there's no reference to where it starts. It says how to set it all up, but then the beast is not anywhere to be mentioned here. So I went through the whole rule book, and I'm like, okay, where do you get the beast? There's no cost to deploy it. There's nothing in here about deploying. Well, it turns out they have a video you can watch that's on Dice Tower that will tell you how to play the game. I don't normally watch videos. I read the rule book. That's what I'm grading on. So when I look at I went to watch the video. It said, oh, you put that on the starting space where your arc is going to be built. And I'm like, okay, there's no mention of that in the rule book. And then it turns out the video had things that were wrong about it. So, the video doesn't agree with the rule book in many places. The rule book definitely didn't agree with the video. The video was better. So if you're going to play this game, make sure you watch the Dice Tower video, because right now that's the only one I could find out there.
Right.
But the Bedouin website said how to play, and it was grayed out. You couldn't link to the video, so you had to go. And if you tried to do a search on Dice Tower, I couldn't get it to come up, so I had to do a search in Yahoo, and then I put in,
That's a lot of work.
how to play the Flood board game Dice Tower, and that's how I finally got it to come up. So I went through all that, but there's major holes in this rule book. I mean, it would be unplayable trying to use the rule book, and it's not sorted in an intuitive manner. That it's so early in the release. There's a lot of people asking questions on Board Game Geek, and Bedouin has not been quick to answer them back. It's been 2 weeks and they haven't gotten replies, and they're putting together an FAQ, but they're putting it together. It's
Right.
not out there yet. So this was a big challenge, and it took all evening. I still don't know if we got everything 100%, because one of the things is the caravan shows a picture of an elephant with the cart, and it says it counts as 2 elephants, but you're including an elephant. So then the video, if you watch the video, it said if you have a caravan, you can build on this spot. Well, that technically is 2. Normally you have to have 3 elephants to build. So I still don't know how the caravans work.
It was very confusing.
Yes, it's very confusing. I'm going to give this one a 2.5. I mean, it's that bad.
Yeah.
It's unplayable. And I would really go lower if it wasn't for the fact that they did take the effort to create the video and somewhat make it referenceable.
And they got pictures.
And it does have nice pictures, and I can see it and read it. So
yeah. So okay. All right.
I will mention before that, there's also a second book, which is scenario-based. This is specifically for all these different ways you can play the game. There's a lot of variant ways to play the game. Matter of fact, the main rule book, there's 2 modes in it. One that's more like Catan, where you roll dice to trigger things, and the other one is more, you get to choose which tile you're going to trigger. But yeah, there's all kinds of different ways to play this game.
All right. So moving on to the actual gameplay. So you'll start out with your main guy at your starting. Well, first you end up draft. You do end
kind
up
of draft your starting spot.
You draft your starting spot. First player drafts around, but then the last player, just like in Catan style, they go and put where they're starting resource tile. Like they put their.
You get one tile space for your starting.
Which is a tent, or which is a hut. Your hut and three elephants get placed on a tile, and that's what you're going to end up gaining resources for.
There's 5 different products you use for resources, just like Catan. You get one of each.
Right,
for your starting hand.
Just starting out.
And 2 events that you get to choose.
So if I was to start my turn, I would first draw a story tile. I would read that story tile to myself. Now up here at the top, there may be a planning action, or it may have a lightning bolt, okay? If it's the lightning bolt, then I'm gonna immediately say what it is and tell everybody and then perform that action, whatever it is. If it wasn't, it was more of a planning one, I get to choose when I play that. So I'll keep this card, keep that to myself, and then I will put it in here. At any point, I could choose to play this. For example, this is build any arc stage with less 2. So if I was at a spot where I could build an arc, then there you go. This is wonderful. I can definitely save this. Totally useful. All right, now, after I would do that, I would activate one tile. I would look at the different tiles that I would have to be able to activate, and then I would activate that tile and get those resources. So, for example, Randy ended up flooding my food production. Shame on him. I do have a card to mitigate that, though, which is funny. But we're going to go over here, because I actually do need this. So I need some pottery. Now, I only have one hut here, so that means I get one clay resource. So Rob would end up handing me that. So that's activating my one tile. And then my mighty beast forges and move. Now, the very first action, it is on your base tile. You can't really forge there. You're going to have to go to a different spot, and that will be the end of your turn. But when you in later rounds, what you'll do is for example, this is the clay. I'm going to move it down to one less resource, because you eventually end up depleting these resources. And I would get that resource at that point. And then you can choose to move. Now you can stay on this location and deplete it to its completely, or keep moving and collect different resources. All right, then after I do that, I will end up doing a build and trade. Now this is similar in Catan in the fact that, hey, Rob, do you have a wood you would like to trade? Oh,
I don't trade with people.
And that's actually truly one of the problems with this game, because you're producing on your turn just for you. You're almost always going to get that answer.
Right.
Why
would I trade with someone that I know is going to help them and not help me?
Yeah.
For the most part.
Well,
I mean, if it is going to help you.
If I'm desperate for a resource.
We had one successful trade the entire game, and that was between you and me.
But the thing is, though, is it more advantageous that I get a single resource I need, or give you victory points?
Yeah.
I'm not wanting to give you victory points.
Yeah, now there is the one piece of the trade I did like was the trading with the board.
Yeah, trading with the board,
that better
was
than
kind of
Catan system.
For sure.
Because you start out at 3-1, and then it gets better trade rate as you take turns. And if you build more camps, you can actually improve it even more.
Right. So yeah, that part was neat.
Okay. So that's sad. But if I had enough resources to do something, I would then build. I can trade and build as much as I want during this phase.
As long as I got the resources.
As long as I got the resources. But because this is essentially the starting round, or that no one gave me my resources, I can't build anything, then I get to take one or more bonus actions. Now, one of the bonus actions is my beast can only move how many elephants are over here. Now, if I put elephants over here, then I lose them in using them to migrate across the board, and so I am really restricted. But then again, my beast can't move as far, right? So right now I have 2 elephants, so it can max go 2 elephants, or 2 movements across the board during its move phase. All right, which I never actually ended up using, so I'm not really sure if that was any benefit. Because moving one's fine. It's not a huge penalty. All right. And then that's the case. Now, something to call out, you have to have 3 elephants, or 3 elephants worth before you can build a hunt or a camp at a particular tile. Camps give you 2 resources of that choice. Huts give you 1 of a max of 3 resources. So, for example, if you have a camp and a hut, and you decide to build another hut, too bad, so sad. You're only going to get 3 out of that particular tile.
You can still build it.
You can.
You can still build it.
Right.
But it's not. Yeah, I
It's
would
not
build it somewhere.
Yeah, it wouldn't be smart necessarily.
I would
but-
build it somewhere else.
Right,
Okay.
but you can still build.
All right. And so with that, and then also the bonus actions: purchase a Mighty Beast upgrade. I didn't have any, so it didn't really relate to me. Use or deploy special tokens, which are basically your cards if you want to. Pay for any ability to deploy or return the mine. Mines we didn't talk about. So you do have the option. One of the options that you can do is build a mine. Where the mine's at, it will give you a free resource without having to trigger every single round. So basically, at the start of the round, when you activate a tile, you activate that tile, and then you also activate your mine wherever that mine is located and get those additional resources.
But you have to play it where your beast is. So
at the time of creation.
yeah.
So just kind of keep that in mind. And you can pick it up and put it somewhere else if you want. Also, the other thing we didn't talk about is these bonus time. So every time that your beast forages, you can move up on one of these tracks. Like one it's a 3-tiered track. This one's 4, this one's 3. Everyone's different. They've got their own, and they have different bonuses when they go throughout the track. So there's typically a event, so they get a level 1 just saying that you've gotten that resource once. Then you get an event, and then you'll get some additional resources for completing that. And basically, you'll get these by when your
first time you trigger that, whatever the resource that's on the place you triggered, you're going to take that token, or you can choose the rainbow, which is the next big problem with this game.
Yeah, there's only 3
There's only
rainbows.
3 rainbows. Now, this was intentional according to Bedouin.
Yeah. So
Problem
it's a
is,
4-player game.
It's 6 actually.
Well, right, with the expansion.
With
Whether it's
4
4 or
players,
6, there's
one
not
person
enough.
is going to get hosed, and you're going to only 2 out of your 3 tracks will be usable because you cannot put any other kind of token on the rainbow colored one. So that makes you very limited on what you can do. I bypassed it because I felt sorry for Rob, so I thought, well, I'm going to be triggering these other ones more, but as it turns out, you're only going to get 10 turns average per game if you're playing a 4-player game. If you're playing 6 players, I can't even imagine playing this game because it's 40 turns and it's over.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and
Which-
look how congested the
Yeah.
board is with just
Exactly.
4-player.
Exactly.
I think this is a 4-player. I just think
And
it's got some colors.
To make matters worse, there's events in the deck that are also additional rainbow ones. So that means you have to have another rainbow token. So this is just
Yeah, it's
really silly.
It made no sense.
There should be enough rainbow tokens for every player to get one, and there should be ones for
Yeah.
these extra events.
Even if they were pushed to the side and said only for, like, in this card, find this special rainbow
or,
token.
or replace your
Right, because what's
Yeah,
going
or
to
replace
happen
is
every
fine.
time you play is the first 3 players that move and trigger their ability are going to take the rainbow tokens because they're limited. And then whoever's after that's going to be hosed, and whoever gets one of these events, it's a wasted card because there's nothing to put on it.
Yeah.
And these events there's 2 stacks of events. There's starter events, and these are the secondary events that you get during the course of the game. So if you're going to have this, it should be one of the starter events at minimum. But yeah, because there's no way this card's ever going to have any value whatsoever.
Yeah.
That was really a bad decision, I think, as far as design to put the rainbows be a limited option.
So, and that is every time that your beast collects, then you'll go up these tracks. So let's talk about what we thought about it. It's very Catan-like. And I think you mentioned it with a bit of scythe. I had such high expectations for this game. It really felt like a huge letdown. And I don't know if this slightly skews my thoughts about it, but I was really hoping for great things, and I don't think I got it out of this one. It was okay. I think once we scrounged to find the rules, it was playable and it's all right. But I have a gut feeling we're never going to get this out again, and I'm really sad to say that.
And the biggest problem to me was the trade. As far as
there's no benefit to trade.
Having that, if you're limited to production for just you, there's no reason anybody should trade you.
Right.
Because you're getting that immediate perk of being able to use it, and by the time their turn comes around, there's a possibility their hand size could have grown over the limit from some other action, because sometimes you get a card from one of these things. And then if you do, there's basically inherently built into the timer is the robber. because after you reach a certain threshold, you go down to 7 cards hand size or 8 cards hand size later in the game. And if you got pushed over, now you've wasted that trade for no reason. And there's not even a need really to trade with other players, because the market is so good on the board that you can actually improve upon it. And I like that aspect of it, but it made trading basically a complete non-factor in the game.
Right. My major negative is the downtime. It took forever for it to come back around to me. Now, granted, I'm not that great at it, so my turns were short compared to some of the others. So I think that compounded the issue for me a little bit, but the downtime was significant, where I almost could take a nap before.
You did take a nap.
You fell asleep.
You were snoring.
And I woke up before it was my turn.
No, I didn't woke you.
Well,
it was close. It was close.
It was still. I mean, the downtime was significant. So
yeah, so I think I wanted to like this game. I think you did as well.
I really wanted to like this game.
I mean, I'm with you. Like, I chose this to play for my birthday, and it's okay. It's not great, and I think you struggled from the get-go just by how hard the rules.
Because the rules were such a chore, but I've already penalized it for rules, so I'm not going to penalize it in the game.
Well, but it takes away the fun. I think that it does take away the fun. I will say,
learning it as well as we didn't have to at least stop the game to check the rules throughout the game. That was a plus.
I think that if they were to do a second edition, they really need to look at the rules and just kind of maybe finish making the game, because it just doesn't feel like they tested it very well.
Right. I think
in the development process.
Yeah. For example, I was expecting to go out and seek different kind of animals, like going across the tiles, and that's why you need to travel, not to gain. I don't know. I just felt that was. I think this could have been a whole lot more, and it wasn't. And I think that's what I was expecting. And for me, that may be why I'm going to rate it the way I'm going to rate it, but it's just really kind of a disappointment. So for me, would I play this over Catan? I think Catan's more finished.
For sure.
I think
it's not as pretty.
It is not as pretty. Nowhere is pretty.
But it's a complete game.
But I feel like Catan's completed. This still feels like they're working through it. I don't think they flushed it out the way they should.
Right.
I'm going to give it a 5, knowing I'm being generous. So and I'm really sad to say that. I really am sad, because I wanted to love this so much.
Yeah, and for that same reason, I'm going to go 4, just because the trading aspect is key to Catan.
Killer.
And that piece being basically a complete waste of time in this game, I have to give it less than Catan. Even though I'm not a huge Catan fan, but it is our standard, our average 5. This one, I think there's elements of it that could have been great.
Mm-hmm.
I think they followed too closely to the Catan formula, and I think they could have done better by veering from it completely. But as far as if you're going to do the Catan formula, the trading is critical, and in this it's non-existent. So I'm going to go with 4.
I think I'm the same way. I'm a 4 because, again, Catan's our standard. Do I like it more than Catan? I do not. Not in the standard it's in. If it polished it up, fixed some of the rules, maybe kind of clarified some other things, I would like it a little bit more. And it's disappointing, because I was really looking forward to it.
I know. I don't think you were complaining when I said this is what we're playing.
No, I totally was like, yes, finally we get to play the Flood. And
just didn't turn out that well. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast hanging out with each other, at least on my birthday. We're headed out to go get ice cream. What are you guys doing today? We'll catch you guys later.
Happy birthday.
Bye.
Bye.